Hey disciples, and welcome to Everyday Hope.
Your daily inspiration from the Word of God.
And today we're talking about insecurities, which should be an issue for everybody. I know that I've struggled with insecurities throughout my life, and even today, I can think of a couple insecurities that I still have from time to time.
Yeah, even especially as a girl, I think as females in general, we go through these phases a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely. I see in my daughters that it's something they go through a lot more emotionally, and a lot more often than guys do, and in different ways. At that, I mean, that's kind of like the whole thing for girls is you guys judge each other based on how you look and how you act and what clothes you wear, buy, and the things you like. Whereas guys, it's just about how many video games you have and how good you are at sports. So it's a little different.
It's more competitive for guys. Who's better than the other?
Exactly.
Where
And
girls more are aware of what others think of them.
So I want to start us off on a positive note. So I'm going to read out of 1 Samuel, which is actually where we are at our church as well. So let me open up to it here, and I have a couple other verses I want to share, but I'm going to let my beautiful wife do most of the talking today. Being the pastor, I like to bring people, and usually my wife, on that they can really relate this from a woman aspect, and I think that it's something that girls struggle with a lot more than guys do, and she can probably explain it in a way that's far beyond my comprehension, because guys just aren't that emotional.
Over his head. Way
over my head. So 1 Samuel 16:7. That's what we're reading out of, and it's one of my favorite verses. So this is at a point where Samuel, the prophet of God, is looking for a new king because Saul has ruined his kingship. He disobeyed God, so now they're looking for a new king, and God's kind of giving Samuel instructions on what to look for the new king. So, and that is David. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So that's just such a positive message to me, because I think a lot of times we are so hung up on what we have, what we look like.
Well, and it's easy to get hung up in that, especially with social media being the way that it is these days. It's really easy to fall in that realm of worrying about your outwardly appearance and what others think of you or perceive you to be as a person. And so this is just a great reminder that, the Lord looks at you from the inside.
Yeah, and I read a quote that really goes with social media, because that's the biggest thing nowadays, and I feel like that's where most bullying occurs, is on social media. And that's a huge form of insecurity. It's just being made fun of for the way you look and stuff. And it happens all the time on social media. I see people being put down for their selfie or their post, or it could be anything from how you spell to how you look. So one of the things I read that I thought was really, really spot on for how a lot of people look at Facebook is, the reason we struggle with insecurities is because we compare our behind the scenes with everybody else's highlight reel. So we're comparing our building moments to other people's best moments, and we're constantly doing that. And instead of looking at what we have and what we're blessed with, we're looking at how this person's blessed in this area of their life, and this person's blessed in that area, and then we add them all up, and we look at it as if we're not blessed at all, because we think we should have it together in all the aspects that these people do.
Well, especially because the majority of the people that post on social media, their posts are like, they're positives. People aren't really going to boast out there the problems that they're going through. So you don't see that. What you see is their trip to Disneyland, the pictures of their new car, or whatever else it might be. And so I think that goes with that quote.
Yeah, it definitely does. And if I think about some insecurities I've struggled with, I think more so for me, it has occurred as a late teen and adult than it did for me when I was younger. When I was younger, I was more rebellious, and I had this uncaring mentality. But as I got older and stuff, I began to grow a lot of insecurities. I began to, for some reason, just not feel accepted or good enough in a lot of areas of my life. I just think a lot of us struggle with, you feel like you can't please your parents, you can't please your grandparents, that you're never going to amount to the expectations people have for you or the expectations you have for yourself. Sometimes you feel like the cards are stacked against you, and then you start letting that snowball in your mind. And that's what I'm most guilty of, is a lot of the insecurities I had weren't even realistic. They were just little things I took in my life, and then in my mind I blew them up to what if I never find a good job? What if I never find a girl who wants to spend the rest of her life with me? What if, and all these things and doubts and insecurities build up my head, and then I just kept telling myself these lies that I had made up, that instead of if, now it was, I'm never going to find anybody, people don't like me, I'm never going to have nice things or be as cool as this person or have these things or this house. And now I'm convincing myself that I've lost before I've even started.
Yeah, but luckily for you, you met me, you have me.
And very lucky and very blessed I found you.
You do, when you were a lot younger, you did this quite often, but not so much anymore. But when you do it now, I see it and I try and stop you. I'm like, look at the glass half full.
Yeah.
You're already putting all this doubt and fear into your head that we're not even there yet.
I could be a pessimist at times, and I try not to be, and I think insecurities is really just another word for fear.
Yeah.
And it is letting fear and doubt creep in. And just a couple other things I want to show you guys. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. You don't have to turn there. I'll read it out loud. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve that God's will is His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So it's just saying you don't have to conform to the world. You just have to conform to what God wants of you, to trust Him with your life. And I think that's another thing that has made all the difference for my insecurities, is I no longer trust the world or worldly things, or get insecure about what I see people doing on TV or musicians or friends. I focus on what God wants me to do in my life and what His will is for me. And I realized how trivial it was that I was chasing after those things at all.
Yeah.
Because the world comes and goes, but treasure stored up in heaven, nobody else can get to. So that was one thing. What were some insecurities you struggled with?
I think a lot of mine came from fear, fear of rejection or by peers, or fear of not fitting in. I guess I will say that I didn't have very many friends in school growing up, and I got bullied or made fun of. But I would take that, and like I was telling him earlier, I got made fun of for this jacket that I wore. And I decided, because I got made fun of it so much for it, I would wear it every single day. And so I tried to act like these words and stuff weren't wounding me, but in fact they were, and I was just keeping it all bottled up inside. Mm-hmm. And our oldest, Nikki, she talked to us about some trouble she had recently too. Is she feels that she's not, what did she call it? She's not appreciated is the word that she used, but it wasn't the right word. And I asked her to explain, and it was that she felt like she wasn't being accepted by her friends, like they were talking behind her back, or...
And she hadn't confirmed it. She just felt that way, and I said, why? And she goes, well, I walked up to my group of friends and asked them what they were talking about, and then they suddenly said nothing, and they stopped talking, so I think they were talking about me.
Yeah.
I said, whether or not they were talking about you isn't something you can control.
And as a girl, I can relate to that, because I remember being younger, and I would be like, oh, those girls are, staring at me, or whatever, and I'd be like, that means that they hate me, or whatever, whatever it may be, as young girls, your mind just kind of goes off, and I think that's what a lot of girls struggle with, is, that person just looked at me, she hates me, or, I don't have the nice outfit that, I can't afford the nice outfit or car that she has, but...
Yeah, and, I've told Nikki too, what it really comes down to is just that verse that I want us to focus on today out of Samuel 16, verse 7, and it's, "Do not consider appearance or his height, for I rejected him. The Lord does not look at things man looks at. Man looks at outward appearances, but the Lord looks at the heart." So just if you remember that one part, the Lord looks at the heart.
Yeah.
That's what God's concerned about. So take security in the things you can control and not in the things you can't control. Because I can work my hardest, and maybe I'll never have as big of a house as some people, or as nice of cars, or whatever it is. But those aren't the things that I want to be important to me anyway.
And they shouldn't be, realistically.
No, but and the fact of the matter is, don't put your focus into things of chasing other people. Do the best you can do while keeping God the focus of your life. If you keep God number one, He's going to give you joy and happiness in your life despite what you're going through. I mean, look at the apostles. They went through torture and sacrifice and were martyrs for their religion, but they still experienced joy and happiness throughout their life because they were serving for God. And that's exactly how I've found my security is. It's not about what I have or what I don't have or what I'm lacking compared to other people, but it's about my relationship with God. And as long as He knows my heart is for Him, then I can have security in knowing everything else will work out. And that no matter what, even when I trip, even when I mess up, or if I don't get that promotion, it's not going to lessen His love for me because He knows I put Him first. He's going to love me the same way. And that's the only love that's going to matter to me. Go ahead.
And another thing too, I mean, that I think that goes towards a lot of women's insecurities is that there's only one true judge. So don't worry yourself on what other people are saying or what they think about you. And there's only one true judge, and He knows the true you, what you're going through, what you have been through, what you haven't gone through. He knows your heart.
And that's something we talked about with Nikki when she was being, she had some gossip about her, some rumors at PE one day, and she was so upset and in tears because they were saying something about her that wasn't true. And I said, "Well, did you do it?" She said, "No." And I said, do you think God knows that you didn't do it? And she says, "Yeah, He always knows the truth." And I said, "Then nothing else matters. As long as you know and God knows, then the rest is going to be just fine."
Yeah, don't trouble yourself on other people's thoughts and opinions.
So one quote I want to read to you guys, and it's one thing that actually has kept me pretty motivated. It's not from the Bible, it's actually from a movie, but I really admire this quote. And it puts such a great perspective on fear, which, like I said, I feel is the root cause of insecurities. So listen carefully. "Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imaginations, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story, and that day mine changed." So I think it's a very inspirational quote, just to say that though danger is real, you can be in a dangerous situation, you can have expectations of danger, but fear is only something that exists in our thoughts of the future or thoughts about what they're saying or what they're thinking. It's never about anything confirmed. We have no proof or anything to go with this fear. We are telling ourselves that we're scared when there may be danger, but there's nothing confirmed for us to be afraid of.
Didn't you tell me
anxiety.
something one time that, like, we're only born with one fear or something like that?
Yeah.
Fear of falling.
The fear of falling is the only fear that you are instinctively born with. And it was something we ironically found when one of our youngest was having nightmares at night, and I was like, well, what would a baby have nightmares about? So I started looking it up because I was just curious because they had no life experience yet. And it said the only fear that we are born with is the fear of falling. So I found that interesting. But nevertheless, like I said, don't get caught up on fears, and don't get caught up watching other people's highlight reels and focusing on comparing that to your life. Because if we compare our weaknesses to other people's strengths, we're going to fail every time. Focus on what God's given you to use and do what you can with it. And don't focus on social media. Don't focus on what other people have and you don't. But focus on the blessings you have and your relationship with God, And I guarantee you, if you focus on this relationship first, all your other insecurities will fall away from security you have with a father. And like all good fathers, he will bridge that gap of your insecurities. He will make you feel better. He will show you how important and loved you are no matter what.
Beautiful.
It is. Well, as always, guys, I want to thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And we're still trying to work up the YouTube channel, so please subscribe if you haven't. Just type in Today's Disciples, and you'll see the logo come up there. And remember, never lose hope.
You don't know what tomorrow may bring.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.